It's happening. Shit's getting real. This is Sophia Musto, and I am so excited to have you here to share my stories with you because life is full of flavor. The purpose of the Zensetter podcast is storytelling, and I want to hear your story, and thank you for listening to mine. You're going to meet so many amazing friends along the way, so thanks for being here. Namaste and hairspray. And welcome back to the Zensetter podcast. I'm your host, Sophia Musto, and I am just so excited to have these conversations flowing. And today, I'm even more excited for you to meet one of my personal friends. I have a special guest here today that is a secret sauce in my brand, and I am just so happy to have her here. So let me introduce you to my sweet friend, Kathy Young. Welcome to the podcast, Kathy.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Sophia. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited. So can you just tell the viewers who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
Yeah, so who I am, my name's Kathy Young. Where I'm from Winter Park, Florida. I used to be from Orlando, Florida, but just recently got a new home, which I know, Sophia, you are kind of dealing with that as well. But I'm now in Winter Park, Florida. And then as far as what I do, I am a web copy and brand messaging strategist for creatives, essentially, is what I do.
So yeah, you are amazing at what you do. You're the secret sauce. You help bring it together. I think it's so funny that you're in Winter View, Florida, because is there ever a Winter View in Florida?
No, I think it's funny because there's Winter Park, there's Winter Springs, and it's there's Christmas, there's even a city named Christmas, and there's no winter here at all.
That's like an oxymoron if I've ever heard one.
Right, exactly.
I wouldn't live in the winters in Florida for sure. And up here in Maryland, we have snow and stuff. So you don't experience that in Florida.
I haven't. I've seen snow, but never here. Always out of state. So
yeah. So as you got into brand messaging, how did you wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to be a copywriter, brand messenger, strategist for people? How did that come to fruition?
Yeah. So it's funny because I've always loved writing. I grew up writing as a little girl, and I know that sounds so cliche, but writing has always been in my heart and soul, and just a way to express just who I am. And so I always knew naturally it was going to be part of my career in some way or form. And so then when I kind of got into the online space, there was just a lot of noise, and I felt kind of drowned out around how do I stand out? But do it in a way that's authentic to me. I don't want to have to feel like I have to put a facade of who I am. I want to be authentic with who I am, but I also want to be heard. And so it kind of made me realize the importance of not only messaging, but just brand strategy and having that as a forefront, because it's really what makes you different. And I've even had experiences where people would come to me and they want to work on a project, for their website, for example, and I'd look at it and I'm like, this looks pretty solid. Are you sure you need my help? And they're like, yes, because it doesn't sound like me. And so that's when I knew. I was like, okay, so this branding thing is probably a little bit more important than people realize. So that's kind of what got me into it, because I think it's something that is it seems so insignificant, but it makes a really big impact. So.
Absolutely. And you have a way of putting an elegance. When I talk to you, I feel that when I use my brand messaging, I feel like it's me. I feel like you tapped into a microphone in my brain and helped me. So can you walk the viewers? Because I was fortunate enough to experience this, and I was so lucky to have you as part of my brand and organize my creative. I saw the ins and outs of where my strengths and where my weaknesses are and how we flow as a team. And I'm so grateful for you. So can you walk us through the process of how you came up with this blueprint, where your mentors came from? Walk us through it.
Yeah. So I actually ran into the blueprint from another copywriter friend of mine who just kind of included brand messaging like in her process. And I was kind of a junior copywriter under her at the time as I was learning. And I found that it was really interesting. And when I saw that she did that, I was kind of intrigued by the idea, and I was really like drawn to it somewhat even more than like the copywriting itself. I definitely love both, but I was just really interested in this idea of like this cohesive document that just explains like the essence of you essentially. And so, yeah, I guess since then I've kind of made it my own, and it's continuing to expand a little bit more. But I've taken courses around branding and also learning about brand voice a little bit more. So it's something that I'm continuing to like cultivate even more. But that's kind of how it started. I kind of piecemealed this like little process that I felt like resonated with people, and it just kind of continues to grow from there.
What has been like one of your favorite projects that you got to really like open up a brand's voice? Like, walk me through that.
Ooh, that's a good question. It's so fun because everyone's so different in so many ways. I think recently I had worked with a brand who was, they were kind of, it was probably my first one because I recently started doing these like this year, and it's just kind of grown from there. But it was probably my first one in that they kind of approached me and they were like, I don't need like a copywriter, like I can write it. I just need someone to like kind of establish my brand. And it was really cool because we like had gone through the process of kind of what I'd done with you, like interviewing past customers and seeing what they really enjoyed. And they kind of realized like, wow, I didn't even, and it was, I'm trying to remember what it was. It was like a digital, she was like a digital like and video like editor, but also like a graphic designer. Yeah, really cool. So she does like production and video stuff, but she also has she had like an artistic background, like in music and theater. And so it was really cool, like unpacking that and helping her realize like how they can come together a little bit. And so that's kind of what catapulted it. I was like, wow, this is so cool to like find all these puzzle pieces of who someone is and then kind of bringing them together.
You're really good at that. You are really good at that. Because when I started Hair by Sophia Musto, I did not see Zensetter when I started that. And you helped me bring those lines together because I am the brand. And then this was my mission. And you helped me bring the self and the soul and bring it to one space. So when it's kind of overwhelming when you first hire a copywriter, brand messaging expert, because there's lots of fine-tuning details for you to get to know the senses. And I felt that you truly walked me through like hearing me, seeing me, feeling me, smelling me. Like, I mean, I felt that you got all my sensory going. Yeah. Where do you find like your inspiration for that?
Yeah, ooh, that's a good question. I have always been the type of person, and this is a really integral part of my brand, but I think I probably the inspiration that helped me understand who I am as a creative is what I've drawn inspiration from. And it's kind of meta, but taking a step back from that, and what has inspired my brand is just this idea of like listening and really being content in the little things and kind of putting focus and emphasis on just the small details and the small interactions and connections we have with people that we don't realize are as impactful as we make them to be. And so, because I've always been the type of person that isn't, and I love like bold, vibrant people like you who are like super fun on reels and things like that. I love that content. But that's just not me personally.
And that's okay. And that's what makes this world so amazing. Right. Yeah. I mean, Jamie and I were just talking, and she said like the world is this big mosaic. And I loved this analogy because I'm so like colorful. And without your piece, we would not have that beautiful mosaic. Like I need people like you. But I also I'm like, let me embrace my inner Kathy. Like, how can I be a better listener? How can I step back and evaluate from the outside, be on the inside? I'm just a natural goofball. It's just who I am.
No, I
Yes.
totally love that. And I feel like that was a really fun like part of like incorporating in your brand to like see how we can make it like fun, but also still like empowering. So, but yeah, when it comes to me, I've always been the type of person that I really like small interactions, like one-on-one conversations. I'm always a fly on the wall type of person. Just always observing, like I'm just a people watcher, like as in general. I know it sounds kind of creepy.
No,
But that's
I am too.
yeah, yeah. And so that's kind of what's inspired me a little bit, just this idea of like when you are able to sit back and focus on listening rather than trying to put an impression on someone or make an assumption, but just gathering all the data and listening and being able to just speak to that. I think that's kind of what's inspired the process.
Yeah. Do you identify as a helper and a healer?
Ooh, I don't know, as far as like helper and healer. I feel like out of the two, I would probably be a helper.
You're both.
Oh,
You're
okay.
both. You
I
don't
didn't
see
realize.
it because you help somebody organize their brand. You help heal like that chaos. Like I felt chaotic. Like, how can I organize this that I don't look squirrely and ADD all over the place? How can I zone in and really focus on what my message is?
Right.
So how did you come up with the timeline? Because this isn't like we met and a week later this happens. This was like in a relationship. And I loved when I first met you that you had the balls to say, I might not be for you and I'm not going to do certain things. And I was like, this bitch is for me. Like, I like somebody to put me in my place because I like right there, I knew that you would not be afraid to tell me anything. And I like authentic, honest, and trustworthy people. I like people that tell me like it is without the fluff because I don't like to play games and guess around, like just be direct. And
Right.
from that point on, I felt like I really like honed in and I wanted to respect you. And I really wanted to do the work and put in the effort. So you put in a lot into your program. Would you call it a program? How would you describe it?
I would probably consider it an offer, like a service, but maybe potentially a program in the future. Who knows? But
Absolutely, you are, because I read a book while I was working with you called the Donald Miller. Was it the storytelling your brand? Is that how the title
yeah,
goes?
how to tell a story brand, I believe.
Yeah, it's
But
something like
story
that.
brand, yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, Kathy, this is Kathy.
Yeah.
And I loved reading that book while I was doing this because it really helped me hone in and who I was serving, why I was doing it. And like, if I see people replicate my content, I realize like that's fine because they don't have my heartbeat. They don't have my voice. They don't have my talent. Like they could be so talented, but they don't have the same vision. So walk us through how you do your offering when you take on a client. So you have your first consult and how do you do it? And let's walk it through the process.
Yeah, so it starts with a few things. So first, kind of like as you already know, we immediately get in contact with some past clients. And what's cool about this process is that it's still inspired by like market research practices, like from copywriting, just because I feel like there is an importance of like really literally listening to your customers and letting them know like what they've enjoyed about your process and what they haven't. So it's partly, driven by that, like market research around your past clients, like your favorite clients almost sometimes in some cases. But so talking to them and then also having a pretty in-depth questionnaire around just giving you a chance to like sit back and really think about your brand. And it's interesting because some people will, when they go through the process, they realize, wow, the brand that I have right now isn't even what I want to be explaining or like putting out into the world. I've just never had the chance to sit down and think about it. So it's kind of questions that forces you to think a little bit about your brand in different ways you haven't realized. And then there's some other like kind of frameworks that I use. So like for you, we use like the brand archetypes to have this idea of like, if you were to pick an archetype I believe there's like 12. I don't know off the top of them, like what they all are, but one of yours.
You mean like the jester and those archetypes? Okay.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm totally the jester. Like, see the goofball, like.
Yeah. And it was so fun because you're the first person I've worked with that was like, oh yeah, I'm totally a jester. And I was like, nice. I figured. But yeah, so kind of, so using market research, having that questionnaire filled out, and then also using like some frameworks like the brand archetypes and like other things that I can kind of, just to kind of give a name to, like if you were to describe your brand, like in a character or like with certain like verbs, like how would it be? And so that's kind of where it's driven. And then from there, it's a combination of figuring out where your brand wants to be and like where your clients say that your brand is. Because sometimes I've gone through the process where I will have talked with like clients and then I come back with the person I'm working with and they'll say, yeah, this is what our client said, but we're actually going into a different direction. And I didn't realize that this was the vibe we were giving off with clients. We need to move forward. So sometimes in some cases, it's being really discerning around what your clients are saying now and seeing if that's in alignment with where you want to be.
Yeah. And what I also loved that I didn't even think of is you were like, I'm going to look out your competitors. Like I always stay in my own lane that I don't even think of that. Like I'm always in community over competition, but it's like a good way to self-audit your business. And I loved that you audited my stuff to like really question me. So the average time is about what, 3 to 4 months to really get in a depth brand messaging, would you say?
I guess I would, probably like 3 to 4 weeks is like what the actual process is. But because I hire out usually 3 to 4 weeks in advance, sometimes like you'll book the process, but then once you get to the starting date, it's about 3 to 4 weeks in total.
Yeah, because it takes time to get in touch with the customers. It takes time to do the questionnaire. It takes time to like get 2 people with schedules to link up. So like people sometimes have a expectation. And I felt that you were very clear with your process. It was so pristine. I love that I get to see who you are on social media. I loved getting to know you personally. And then we worked together. It was like kind of dating. We were like business dating.
Yeah. And I think that's what I really have learned to enjoy about the process. And like, I'm excited to continue like to refine it and make it even more just involved, because especially in the online space, and I know that you're kind of serving in person, but even when it comes to like just creative services in general, a lot of the times you're hiring based off of core values of the person. And if you align with them in some way, shape, or form. And so even if you have the best pristine service in the world, if you just don't align on like that kind of deeper level, it's like, you're probably not going to go with them. And so my intention with this offering is just to help people really attract the people that they want to work with, not necessarily like taking on whoever they feel like they have to, but at least putting that out into the world. That way the right people will see their brand, feel really aligned with it, and then drawn to it from there.
I love that. Because there's room for everyone. Like you're not the only copywriter. I'm not the only hairdresser. Right. We can all serve and help each other and watch each other grow and flourish. Yeah. And talking about your core values, I loved that we were in a coaching program together, because I was like, this bitch and I definitely are going to collab because we had the same mindset. We want to do the same work. Yeah. So do you see yourself like having a coaching program like this for artists and entrepreneurs?
I don't know, probably in the future, once I feel like it's a little more once I've done like my fair work of like just getting the reps in, you know what I'm saying? But it would be really cool, because I think that there is power in like just understanding your brand and understanding how you are involved with that a little bit and finding like the balance of both. It would be cool to do that. So maybe, who knows, in the future.
I'm going to sign up for it for sure, because I always get inspired by you. I do. I always feel like when you're in a pack, you kind of can bounce and collab and you grow better because there's more brains in the pot. Like,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
love that.
Yeah, it's so cool. So,
did you go to school for writing, or did you do something prior to copywriting?
Yeah, so I actually did go to school for writing. As far as like getting into writing, I've always known, like I've always been drawn to writing, so I always knew it would be a part of my career path in like some way, shape, or form. So English was like my favorite subject, of course. And then once I got into college, the degree is technically called writing and rhetoric, and then I took a minor in marketing. Just when I was like learning about how I can, become, because I always thought I was going to be like an author or like a blogger. Like I had no idea this online world existed until, of course, like as of the last few years. So yeah, that's kind of the course I took.
That's so cool. Where'd you go to school?
The University of Central Florida. Yep.
You love your Florida, girlfriend. I'm going to come down there and visit you.
Yeah, it's nice and hot down here. So if you ever need a break,
yes, I love it. I do hot yoga all the time. Like I love hot humidity. I don't mind that at all. That's so cool. Well, I love it. Kathy, thank you so much for sharing. But I have one more question. So today I told you I was going to pull a card. And because you love English literature so much, I want to know, what is your favorite like inspiring quote?
Oh, goodness. That's so hard. Okay. That's so funny, because there is this one quote that's kind of driven me from, there are so many quotes that I really enjoy, but a quote that has really driven me was actually shared to me from my father-in-law, like when I first started business. And it's so funny because it's just, even as my brand has continued to change, it's carried me. And it's by John C. Maxwell. And I believe the quote is, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Ooh, I love that. People don't know how much you know until they know how much you care. I love that.
Yeah. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Yeah. I know, it's like kind of hard to remember.
I see. That's why I need you. This is why I need you.
Yeah.
To help me organize the words. That's awesome. So I think it's wild that I'm going to share something new with you today, because you're always sharing all the newness with me. So this is a new deck that I don't normally use. Today I'm podcasting with you from home. This is like my girl gang one. So I have different decks for different purposes. Like if I feel that I need like a strong woman influence, I have this deck of strong women, and it tells me like their story from like Marie Antoinette to Oprah Winfrey. It's so wild. And then I have like a shine your light deck, and then I have an affirmation. So this is like my call of the wild. And since we're both little Rising Wolf Collective graduates, I thought I'd pull out my wolf deck.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, look at this beautiful card. It says, my instincts keep me adaptable in the face of any obstacle. It's amazing. Look how beautiful that is.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, definitely what I needed.
So my instincts led me to you, and you helped me through all the obstacles in my social world. So, and I can't thank you enough. Can you tell the viewers and the listeners where they can find you, how to get in contact with you? And they will be in the show notes as well, friends. So all the links, but where can we get in touch with Kathy Young and chat all things branding?
Yeah. So my website is rekindlecommunications.com. And then I'm active on Instagram, which is rekindle_communications. And I think that's pretty much where you can find me. I'm on like Facebook and LinkedIn, but other places, but Instagram is kind of where I'm at. And then I didn't tell you this, Sophia, but I do have like a little gift that I can give. It's not done yet. I'm working on it right now, but by the time that this comes out, it might be ready, but just a little gift to help with brand voice if they want like a little mini guide to go through the process themselves. Yeah.
I love that. And that's so kind of you, Kathy. Thank you. Yeah. You definitely want to take opportunity, because once you can see your brand voice, you are definitely want to go on this adventure with Kathy. Yeah. Kathy, Thank you so much. And thank you, Chester, for joining the podcast. You are our first furry friend to join. Don't tell Phoebe. And
Oh my goodness.
I'm so grateful for you. Thank you so much, Kathy.